Terra Invicta is a game that might have been made by the folks who did XCOM 1 and 2's Long War mod. You play as one of 7 factions to defend the Earth from a secret alien invasion. My audience has asked for me to make a beginner's tip guide. Let me start by saying this will be extremely condensed. If you want a more verbose explanation, you can start with the Terra Invicta subreddit's beginner's tip thread. Usually someone posts a link there to 10 easy steps. You can also go to Parent Gaming AU, that's Australia, on YouTube and check out his 5 Terra Invicta guides, plus his now legendary Humanity First playthrough. It will, however, spoil you for all of the events of the campaign. These tips are for game version 0.3.76, and I am by no means a master of this game. For first-timers, starting as the Resistance is the default tutorial. They have one of the easiest times of things because of their ideology. Population of the people of Earth and each individual nation tracks how much they're swayed by every faction plus the aliens. Increasing your sway with a group may not increase your sway specifically. Here's why. Ideology is a 2-axis chart of which Resistance is in the middle. Idealism versus opinion on aliens. Group at the extreme ends of this chart that want to sway people have to pull folks in from across the spectrum, and as they do, people switch to the factions they cross. This means as the needle moves between the opposite ends of extremes, it will always pass over the Resistance, making playing the Resistance more easy. Extremist groups like the Servants or Humanity First will have a harder time convincing people, and it will take longer as they must first pass through other factions along the way. You'll want to pick a suitable starting nation. The big 4 openings are the United States, China, the European Union, and Russia, Kazakhstan, India. The United States is very generalist, but also has the highest rated military and the strongest navy, as seen in the Freedom of the Seas score under its military subsection. This means any nation at war with the United States cannot use the ocean to transit, making the only groups capable of opposing it via land continental America. And none of the starting America's nations even have militaries. If you pick the United States, you will be able to freely dominate other countries via military effort. You can also throw around your nuclear payload to achieve victory versus the aliens. Now, this is no easy task. Taking the US directly, and for that matter China, is nearly impossible. You want to start in either of these countries with a good public support. If you're dead set on playing a particular supernation rather than looking at the board and what you have to begin with, you don't have the support that you're looking for, restart the campaign until you do. Both China and the United States, your next step will be to take control points in surrounding nations. For America, capturing Canada and Mexico is a much easier task. Once you have taken both nations and locked them down, you will get a large boost to recruitment efforts in the United States. China, there are many nations, and you will need almost all of them to begin to even make headway. China is easily the most difficult nation to get started in, but it can have nearly unlimited growth via its massive population and economic expansion. Take care to watch which countries border China, however, since several of them are rivals with it, and control of a rival nation will actually decrease your likelihood of making headway in China. For instance, Taiwan. For the European Union, you start with France. As you gather more European countries and control their executive point, which is the rightmost control point, for 180 days, you'll be able to form friendly relations, alliances, federate, and finally unite into a stronger European Union. As the EU expands, you'll keep many of your benefits so far while using fewer control points and CP capacity. This will allow you to expand even further. The European Union opening is a medium start that builds on successful diplomacy. Russia has nuclear weapons and armies and starts federated with Kazakhstan to receive a large portion of its mission control and space boosts. Taking Russia and then Kazakhstan will give you a solid start. As you gain more CP capacity, you can move into India. With a massive population, India has many problems, but an unrivaled ability to grow economically with investment. Your secret organization needs counselors. Buy one immediately and save for a 4th ASAP. Even if you control no countries, as long as you have counselors, you can bounce back. The early game, countries matter quite a bit, but as time progresses, your economy will move almost fully to space. At that point, the strength of your counselors will be what carries you to victory, so choose wisely. Take a look at what counselors you start with and the available recruitment options. You'll almost certainly start with a persuasion-based one. At game start, this is your strongest counselor, although they will fade into the mid-game when persuasion is used to turn other faction counselors into spies for you. Take a look at traits. Anyone with inflexible is useless. Quick learner is great. A military scientist is pure gold. Any trait that prevents you from going to ground makes someone completely toxic. In general, you want a counselor spread like so: one persuasion expert, one flexible pick as a backup persuader who is primarily administration, and one command expert for taking apart alien events. These starting 3 will be very strong. You'll also want a strong espionage agent as an assassin and an investigator to help determine who's who and perhaps even help detain, plus a scientist eventually. One thing to keep in mind is that once you hit 8 to 10 in your primary skill, you can attempt to divert your build into administration instead. Raising administration raises your CP cap to allow you to maintain more territory, and it allows you to equip more organizations that can give stat boosts. Organizations that give admin are super solid. Once you're in space, organizations with a bonus to space mining are critical to the war effort. You've been writing all of this down, right? In terms of research, put 1 tick in a box in every category. By doing this, you'll gain a boost to research overall. You'll want to seize command of one of the 3 research spots as soon as possible. You have to contribute more than all other factions to get the spot, so pick one and put 2 or even 3 ticks into that. Research is the top way to win this game. You have to catch up and overtake the aliens in terms of technology. Here's how to do it. Start with, open the full tech tree and take the steps needed to unlock covert cells. This will allow all factions to pick up an extra counselor. After that, aim for advanced chemical rockets. This will unlock reduced boost costs and help you get off the ground sooner. Your next target is mission to the moon. As soon as it's done, send a probe to the moon and lock down any landing spot that has water in it. Water is expensive and heavy to boost, and having some to start with in space will greatly reduce the cost of your first real target, the Mars mission. After researching mission to the moon, you'll need industrialization of space to start mining fully, and then follow it with mission to Mars. Once on Mars, secure good sources of water and volatiles. You don't need every landing spot here, but 2 to 3 is a good start. Make sure to fully complete one base before moving on to others. On Mars, solar power isn't strong enough to power your base, so make sure you pick up Fission Pile. This is the end of the early game. Your next techs should be going to the asteroid belt and the inner planets. You'll want to fully capture both Ceres for its water and Mercury for its sunlight. Mercury is a shining beacon of operations centers for mission control and research campuses in the space above it. As mentioned, technology is the #1 way you win. The second most important is a strong economy, and the third is mission control. Once you pass using, not having, 100 mission control, the aliens will take a more extreme notice of you. You are a secret organization. Keep cool, keep below the limit, prepare lots of shipyards, research, don't antagonize the servants or protectorate too much. Don't build ships except to get the 1 ship kill you need for your faction mission. You have about 20 years and 100 mission control to prepare for the real war. Use it wisely. For this final note of a beginner's tip video, absolutely do not research ship techs to start with. There are far too many, and they are all useless. The real techs you'll want to go with are, at a minimum, nano armor or adamantium, nanofilament radiator, quantum battery, pulse drive, and copperhead missiles. You can make a ship without these things that has a similar level of effectiveness, but has 4 times the cost in water and volatiles. It's simply not worth it. With an escort or monitor fully kitted with copperheads and magazines, you can trade a 30 or 40 combat strength ship for a 150 strength alien vessel. When you reach the point that you're fighting aliens using this tech, I highly suggest you check out Perrin Gaming AU's guide on shipbuilding basics for how to create a expendable yet survivable beginner fleet. Thanks for watching, and I hope this helps ignite your drive to play Terra Invicta. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this or want to see a mid-game tips guide.